Hey guys, welcome to Teddy Cat Crew. Today's crew member, of course, it's gonna be me. So I know normally I bring people on the show and they talk about their different experiences and everything like that. So today, what I was gonna do is I was gonna share a topic, and the topic that I want to talk about is exposure. Oftentimes, when we hear exposure, I'm talking about being able to see more than what's in your direct visual, or more like what is in your, I guess, surrounding areas. So the exposure that I'm talking about is seeing things outside of your norm, basically. So I wanted to talk about this because a lot of times I hear kids or really adults talk about how when they were growing up, they didn't see much of this or know about much of that. And I realized that we are a product of our environment. So if we can expose our children to different things, then it gives them a better vision of where they want to be, or where they need to be, or it allows them to see things that they haven't seen or even thought of. My experience with exposure for me was when I first went to college. So I'm from Baltimore, and I'm from a city. So normally in the cities, all you know is kind of like hustle and bustle, and a lot of people quickly moving past each other. A lot of people don't speak. But I went away to college down South Carolina, and my first day there, I'm going on campus and I'm meeting people. You know, that's fine and dandy, and everybody speaking, hey, how you doing? All right, that's fine. So then class starts. Probably what that was, not that Monday, because that Monday was like Memorial Day. Yeah, so that Tuesday class start. So as I'm going to class, people are constantly speaking to me. Hey, how you doing? And where I come from, all you get is a simple nod. I mean, I'm walking, they are waving, they doing, they really speaking. And I'm like, what? Where I come from, if a person speak to you a whole lot or more than once, something ain't right. So I go to class and they'll speak. I'm coming from class, the same people keep speaking to me, and it's making me feel some type of way. One, because now that I know, I wasn't exposed to that. I wasn't exposed to that, I guess you would call it hospitality. So I'm like, I even pulled somebody up and said to them, why you keep speaking to me? And he was like, dang, man, I'm just saying what's up. And I was like, oh, all right, And then I even got on the flip side of that. Somebody pulled me up and say, dang, when I speak to you, you don't even speak back. And all I said was, do I go like this? They said, yeah. I said, I spoke. But that's all I knew. I wasn't exposed to that type of hospitality. So I didn't know how to take it, and I did not know how to return it. So when I'm going, so I would get, I made some friends. I would get in a car, and we would drive down the street, and everybody would be waving. You drive by somebody's house, they waving. I'm like, why these people keep speaking like that? And people just was like, hey man, that's Southern hospitality. I said, well, up north ain't none of that. Somebody keep doing something ain't right. You know what I mean? And what that allowed me to do is, once I came home, it's kind of crazy, but once I came home, like, probably not my first year, but probably after my sophomore year being in college, once I came home and I would be hustling and bustling in the city, if I caught eyes with somebody, I would open my mouth and speak or say, hey, how you doing? Or I would do like this. And now people looking at me like, but I was exposed to something different. You got to think. I know when I was coming up in school, the kids, we used to go to field trips. So we got to see things outside of our neighborhood. We got to go to the zoo, to the circus, the pumpkin patch. We got to do a whole lot of things that today's kids aren't exposed to. And I understand sometimes that it's a financial situation, but if you can, as much technology as it is now, Man, people need to get on there and show these kids the world if you can. Now, don't think that I'm saying, everybody should be doing this. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you got the opportunity to take your child outside of their norm, please do it. Exposure goes a long way. And people are a product of their environment. So if you put them in a different environment as much as you can or as often as you can, they'll have a better chance at understanding things or knowing things because they are exposed to it. But if you keep them in that shell or in that bucket, they don't know anything. So it hinders their growth. It hinders their experience. It hinders their thought process. And I just feel like exposure is one of the best teachers that it is. Let me think. I like to read, right? So I read books. And as I got older, I started reading more books about financial things or how I should carry myself or certain things. But when I'm reading these books and I'm going over these words, it's words that I have never been exposed to. So if somebody talk to me in that certain, temperament or language or talk or say those words to me, I don't know those words. So I open up right then and there, I'll open up the dictionary on my phone or do whatever I do to figure out what that actually means. But I was never exposed to it. But if I was exposed to it, the book would be an easier read for me. Not that it's hard, but it would be, I would quickly understand it instead of having to stop to figure out what the word means. Listen, y'all, if y'all got children, and for yourself, it's not even just about children at this point. If you got children, man, take the time out to read to them. Take the time out to expose good things. Expose them to good things. If you living in the city, take them in the county. I know growing up, it's kids that never even been. I grew up on the east side of town. It was kids on the east side of town that never even seen the west side of town, and I couldn't for the life understand it. Like, dude, west side is literally 10-15 minutes away. I'm not understanding how you don't know the west side of Baltimore. But again, I guess if your parents wasn't exposed, how can they expose you? So this is a message from me to whoever's watching this. If you can expose your kids to good things, whether it be out of state, the other side of town, something outside of their norm that's going to be beneficial to them, either 5 years from now or 20 years from now, please try your best to give them that exposure. You are a product of your environment. Exposure, I feel like exposure to different things is the best teacher, man. Expose these kids, expose yourself, do things, learn things. You never, listen, the one thing, no matter what somebody do to you, they can't take what you know. The more you know, the better you are, the better you are. I've always, and I keep saying, the 5 P's, proper preparation prevents poor performance. If you prepare these kids or yourself with a different mindset and expose yourself and your children to different things, I'm telling you, it's a world out there beyond your imaginations. Your imagination. Sorry. All you have to do is think, believe, receive, and go for it, man. Please, exposure is the best teacher. I don't know how much I could speak to this, but that was my situation that made me realize how important exposure was. That when I sit and I think about it. But please, if you can, do as much as you can with your children to expose them to good things. We'll turn the radio on, and they can't read, or we'll be, in a house as an adult, knowing that we can go hop on a train and go to the next town over, go to a museum, or something like that. Expose your children at the smallest rate to anything outside of their norm. It does not have to be nothing extravagant, but do your best to expose your children. Thanks for watching, Chatty Cathy and crew. Stick around. Like, share, subscribe, do your thing.